Hello, and welcome to another video. Good morning. It's like way early in the morning, but I want to go ahead and have this conversation with you. It's going to be another chill video, so calm down. Might be a little long, okay? I do have some notes because I have some very specific things that I want to talk about, but this is just kind of a long overdue conversation, all right? So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Now, without telling all of my business, I want to say that I'm finishing out an opportunity that I have recently taken. Okay, so today will be probably, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So today will be my 5th day with this opportunity. So not very long. However, I've already come to some very strong conclusions. And before it ends, I just want to share with you my thoughts. And if you find yourself in this situation, I made a video for you guys, I don't know, a few weeks ago regarding another opportunity. And my thoughts really remain the same. Even though the place is different, even though the place is even better, it's probably the best that I've seen so far, there's still some very real things that I want to talk to you about: daycares, about parenting, about homeschooling, some ideas that we really need to just walk away from altogether, okay? So the first thing I want to say is, I took a position in an infant room, and I had every plan on, my daughter's there with me, right? So I had every plan on making this sort of at least a year-long commitment, okay? I had no plans on doing anything otherwise. Something great happened, okay? That just like God, to let something great happen as soon as you go off to start the thing that you think that you want to do. So I had to, inform the company that I will no longer be able to continue in this position. And I am kind of glad that something great happened and I wasn't able to continue the position because, like I said, even though the location was great, it was the best daycare that I've seen thus far outside of having my own. So I was really amazed, but there was some just systematic things that simply don't work. And also some systematic things that makes me want to have a further conversation with you mothers, with you women. Okay. So this is what happened. Like I said, I was in the infant room they're preparing for a newborn baby. And I'm thinking like, okay, a tour, it's a new baby. The parents come, you're talking to tour, whatever. So the director is actually talking to the parents in the tour. And I'm still tending to the children, but I overhear, because you know me, the Lord just like to let me overhear stuff a little bit sometime, okay? I overhear the lady, so it was her husband, and then the baby came. I overhear the lady saying, yeah, I didn't want to use all of my maternity leave, so I'm going to go back to work early. Now, the baby is very young, like almost like, like young, like we call it just coming out of hospital young. But before you've had that 6 weeks clearance from the doctor, you really should be at home with baby. Some moms don't do that, and that's, I guess, it's fine. But even if you don't decide to be at home with baby, your baby shouldn't be dropped off with anyone else for a very long time, okay? And this baby also was born premature. So the first thing that came to my mind was the children that are with me right now, how hard it is to manage these children. Now, here in the state of Texas, you can only have 5 infants in the infant room. But if you've ever taken care of one infant, 5 infants is a lot. And I don't even mean infants like they're really toddlers, okay? 5 toddlers is a lot. 5 toddlers wanting to be held and you wanting to give them the best care possible, that's a lot. To add a newborn baby on top of that is almost impossible. And it hurt my heart to see a mother why have a baby? Let's start here. Pregnancy to everybody is the cute thing. You want people to see you pregnant. You want people to ask about the baby. This is really all about you. You're selfish. Okay, you're selfish. The moment you have the baby, you decide that you want to throw the baby in childcare. And they were first-time parents. You don't think that this is the time. It just really rubbed me the wrong way. And then I had to think about myself because I put my daughter in daycare to help other people with their children. Yes, it's a different dynamic, but nevertheless, still very much it's wrong. It's twisted because I realized, like, as much as I thought I was helping these people, I was really giving them a temporary band-aid for their situation. The real help they needed was to really do better for themselves, not have someone else providing for them. Because some people just, girl, they'll just keep needing to be helped. Okay. So that was the incident that sparked this whole conversation. But yes, so I've been working at daycare since I was 13 years old. I have owned my own daycare, and I've worked in, I'm going to say 4, but it might be 5 daycares here in my area. And I've interviewed with a lot more. Okay. And I will tell you that the daycares that I worked at, I have not made it past the second week. I think 2 weeks is the most that I have done, because things were so bad. And the daycare that I am at right now is the daycare that is, I want to say, the kind of cheapest of all of them. But to give you a picture, I worked at a summer program. I worked for a summer program that the parents were paying $300 for school age children. That's a lot of money. Okay. And some of the parents had 2 and 3 children in care. So they were spending a lot of money. So they had a lot of money to spend. Okay. And so we're not talking only about people who, we're not talking about people dropping their kids off at daycare who really need it. We're talking about people who really, they just don't, I don't know what's going on. That's why I'm sitting here having this conversation. And I will tell you, so I also did a little thing, care.com is, right? If you don't know what care.com is, kind of like babysitters, nannies. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, there's got to be a mom who just, she wants to run a little errands. Maybe she wants her daughter or her son to have a little extra play time with someone else who has a child as well. So all of the assignments that I would have gone on, I would have brought my daughter with me. Okay. Because to me, it doesn't make sense to leave my child in the care of someone else and then go and care for someone else's child. I know some people do that, and I have done that in the past, like I said, but I realize the error in my ways, that doesn't work. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, it does not make sense. So anyway, I looked on care.com and I'm seeing like parents say things like pick up their child and then you come home, you do the activities with them, and then you put them to bed and you cook the meals. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So your child has been off to school, let's say since 7 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to have somebody else pick them from school at 3 o'clock, and then that person sees them all the way until 7 o'clock. What do you think you're going to be doing? You're going to be tired. You're not going to be here. You're not going to want to be like as involved as these children need you to be. Well, just because someone is caring for them, it doesn't mean that they have gotten everything that they need from you. And I think there we have the disconnect. Like, people are so entitled. You think that because you have money that you could just pay people to do things that you should be doing. And it's insane that being pregnant, that having children has become like kind of like another notch in the belt, just another thing to do before I reach a certain age. And we're not thinking it all the way through. And I urge you to not do that, because the children are the ones suffering. When you drop your child off at daycare as an infant, if you keep that child in daycare until it's time for them to go to school, you're going to see those changes in them by the time they go off to school. The school, that's why the pre-K teachers, that's why the kindergarten teachers, that's why the first grade teachers, that's why the elementary teachers have such hard trouble as well. Because the children have learned this throughout daycare. Well, what is the solution to that? Well, if you ask me, the solution is to not put the kids in daycare. The solution is to hold off. Now, if you're one of those parents and you absolutely think that school is just the way to go, even what was going on in the school, like I said, I took a subbing position, so I know exactly how the schools are being ran. If you think that that is the best route for your child, I would urge that you wait a little longer, that you keep the children with you, that you teach them manners, that you teach them, how to be kind toward other people, that you teach them life skills and life before you sending them off to school. Because that's what elementary school is. It's really, people say elementary. I say elementary. Elementary school really is teaching children, like, they watch you in elementary school. When they're that young like that, they watch you and they mimic what it is that you do. By the time they get to middle school, they notice that you ain't gonna be around. They know how this thing go, okay? And they start to watch and mimic their peers. By the time they get to high school, they're living out that which they've watched, okay? So, drugs and all this other stuff starts being mixed in once they get to high school. Whereas if you would keep the children at home, I'm not saying they even need to enter into high school, but high school is, is a good time to introduce them into school because they already have a set foundation of who they are. And you're not leaving it up to a random teacher who don't even want to be there and kids whose parents aren't there for them to teach your child who they are. And that's what's happening. The kids are totally confused. And just even like I said, being in infant room, some of the demands that parents place, like, I'm going to tell you this. So I had a child yesterday. Her dad, she had to go to the doctor's office. Her dad comes and drops her off. Now it's nap time when he comes and drop her off. And I'm pretty sure he knows that it's nap time. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, because I used to have a policy in my daycare that you could not drop off your child after a certain time. And I believe it was like 9, maybe 10 o'clock, because we already began our activities, and it's really your child. You've let your child sleep until 9:30, and then you drop them off at 10 o'clock. Well, what do you think they're going to do? And they should be able to sleep as long as they want. Kennedy's in there sleeping right now. They should be able to sleep as long as they need. But the inconsiderate nature of how people do things in these daycares really just blows my mind. So the dad comes up at nap time with the music blaring. So I know for a fact when his car pulls up that this baby, this 1-year-old back here, is not sleeping because the music is blaring. Okay, and the whole daycare is asleep. So it was just rude altogether. He comes in, drops the little girl off. He hasn't even fed the little girl. So now I have to stop over here with the other children who are sleeping. Good thing. And it was only one child. He was sleeping. I had already put him to sleep. But now I had to feed the little girl. And then she did not want to take her nap. And rightfully so. She just got out of the car with blaring music. She doesn't want to take her nap. But what does that mean for the little boy who's down here who actually is napping, who wants to remain napping? Well, it doesn't work. And in daycares, if you ever work in daycares, what they do is they mix the crowds a lot. So those two kids were perfect together. They're in the same age range. They play the same. Okay. If a little child like that takes a toy away from another child, they're not too mad about it. They kind of just go on, like you can give them another toy and that's it. Once you start moving up, the toddlers have a very mind mentality. Like, this is mine. And there's a lot of fighting going on. Well, would you want someone fighting with your 10-month-old baby? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But the daycares, they're concerned about money. Whenever you're concerned about money, not just the daycares, the schools as well, whenever the concern is money and not the children, it's always going to fall short. So like I was saying, after nap time, so midway through, I won't say midway through, it's really the end of the kids' nap time, but they really have another 30 minutes, which 30 minutes to a baby is a lot. They have an extra 30 minutes of sleep, but the other kids now are integrating into the classroom because it's time for their teacher to go and relieve the next teacher so the next teacher can go home. So the little kids, okay, they're coming into the classroom and they're screaming. So what do you think is happening to the babies? The babies are waking up too. The babies are not getting their full rest. They're cranky. And it just makes for an all over bad day. And a lot of people are not like me, haven't had their own children. A lot of people who work in daycares are just younger women who haven't had their own children, or who actually, they work there because they need the money. It's not a lot that you get people like myself, and I'm not being boastful here, but who are not working there just because it's something that they want to do. So when you have a screaming child and somebody who don't want to be there anyway, what do you think that leads to? It leads to abuse. Oh, but if somebody told you that your child was being abused while you go off and climb the corporate ladder, you'd be mad, but you put your child in this situation. And if somebody tells you about yourself, tells you that you need to take your child out of daycare and you need to stay at home with them, you're mad. Let me tell you, it's easier for you to take a child out of daycare and you to stay at home with a child and correct a child's behaviors than for you to wait until they're 15, 16 years old and try to correct those behaviors. Because that's almost impossible. Okay? That's almost impossible. Especially, I see a lot of boys and a lot of single women, and you think it's cool to kind of coddle these little boys, not realizing that these little boys, much like my son, grow up to be bigger than you. Okay? 6 foot somethings bigger than you. And you haven't even set those boundaries of what respect is. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? So I wanted to talk about that because I'm just going to go off on the record and say no daycares work. If you are one of those people on the other just camera, you say, I have my child at daycare and I absolutely love the teachers. Let me tell you, the teachers don't love your child that much. It's impossible. It's impossible with the pressures that the daycare put on the teachers to create the system doesn't work. Like I said, there's only 5 kids. And when I first started there, I was like, 5 kids? This is unheard of. Unheard of. And on my first day, I think there was only 2 kids in there. I said, this is perfect. Well, I quickly realized that they weren't going to just keep it at 2 kids. They were going to dump as many kids as possible in the room. Even if those kids didn't know me, even if those kids technically didn't belong in the room. I had a little girl in the room yesterday who she is 2 years old. A 2-year-old should not be in the room with a 10-month-old, with a newborn, with a 12-month-old. There are 2 different phases of their life, of their childhood. The daycare doesn't care about that. So I spent all of yesterday pulling the little girl off of the kids. I mean, she would do like this to their face, pull their clothes. You think somebody want to see their child being, I call it hemmed up. You think they want to see their child being hemmed up by an older child that shouldn't even be in the room? No. But the daycare doesn't care. And I think they're nice people, but at the end of the day, it's about the money. It's about the money, and no one can tell me otherwise. When I had my in-home daycare, it wasn't about the money, and because I refused to make it about the money, I came out on the losing end. Because I provided low-cost childcare, and I will honestly say, if you have to put your kids in daycare, I would choose an in-home daycare. And don't be mad if they don't accept you, because I didn't accept anyone. I didn't accept everyone. Let me move this over. I did not accept everyone. So I interviewed my parents. And if I just simply knew that you just weren't going to work well with my personality, I always said like to bring the kids with you, because sometimes the kids just like, I'm going to give you this example. Okay, we're going to come on examples. Yesterday, I saw a guy come in, a gentleman come in. He came in with his son, and he was trying to sign his son up. Now, it's the middle of the year. So if you're trying to sign your child up for daycare at this time of the year, when it's not like any big changes happen, it's not like school has started, school has stopped, none of that kind of stuff. Okay. And I would say maybe they just moved here, but this is a different kind of area. Like the people who are here are just here. If someone is moving around in the middle of the year like that, it's usually because the child was kicked out of somewhere. They're at the front, they're getting the paperwork. I see the gentleman touch the little boy's hand, like telling the little boy to stop. And the little boy doesn't stop. So he knows that the little boy has a behavior problem. And I'm not saying a behavior problem as in the little boy's bad. He just might need one-on-one. He might need his parents taking care of him. Not might, it is. That's what needs to happen. So the man took the little boy and set the boy down. And you know what the boy did the whole time? The gentleman was talking to the lady. He was kicking the wall. He was kicking the wall in there with my infants while they were taking it out. What would I do for this situation if it was my in-home daycare? I would not accept the child. Why? Because if the parent cannot control the child, neither can I. And when I say control, I mean they don't have respect. They don't listen to the parents. That means when you're at home, you're not listening either. And here it is, you're leaving it up to me. I'm going to be spending most of the time with your child because I'm going to be honest with you, parents like that. The child is usually acting like that because the kid is there all day long. So you're just going to have a hard time all day long. I can't agree with it. I won't agree with it. And even my daughter's at the daycare with me, being away from her like that, I don't like it. She's too young for that. She's too young for it. Even though I know it's like helping other people, I'm not willing to sacrifice my daughter's well-being to help other people who really, they don't want to help themselves. And some of them don't really want to be helped. Some of those parents will come there after you've been with their child all day. And some of you are those parents, will come in there with you, talking to you like they haven't been going all day and you haven't been the one with their child. Can you change the diaper? I said, ma'am, his diaper is changed. Oh, it smells like he farted. He might have just farted, but I'm not having your child walk around with poop on them. But at my in-home daycare, that would have never flown. Am I saying in-home daycare is the best either? I'm not saying that either, because you're stuck in the home. especially if you take infants and newborns and stuff like that, you're stuck in the home. And if it's still a situation where you're doing it for the money, it's still not going to be a good situation. If you have younger children of your own, it's still not going to be a good situation. So right now, the age that Kennedy is, I would say it's better. I would say it's better. But if you have newborns, you can take less kids. It's just not a good situation. And some children simply just don't do well with it. Some children they rather spend their days at the park like most kids and playing outdoors, and they don't want to be cooped up there in the house, which you have to do. And I don't mean like you're not going outside, because we used to go outside maybe like 2, 3, 4 times a day. We used to go outside a lot. But it's just not a good. You are the best candidate for these children. You can tailor their day to their specific needs. I don't know how else to tell you that it's not working. I don't know how else to tell you it's not working. It's just not working. It's not working. And I know there's so many things I could talk about here, because someone's going to say, you're a single mom and how do you make that work and all those kind of things. I was a single mom before I got married. It was me and my son, and I absolutely had to work a bit harder. He was absolutely at school, and he absolutely went to after school program. Now, granted, I got off really early. So 3:00 is early. Still not early enough to like pick him directly up from school, but he wasn't at the after school program long. I would even say that is not a good model. Okay. It's not a good model. It's just not. When the kids are older, like Kennedy's 5 right now, in 10 years, well, it changes. As the children age, it changes. But if you have younger children, I definitely say like elementary school children, stay with those babies. Stay with those babies. They need you. They need your guidance. They need your love. They need you hugging on them and letting them know like it's okay. They need you. They need the security that you as a parent provides. They're not getting that from school. They're not getting that from daycare. And instead, they're building up defense mechanisms to protect themselves from heartbreak, to protect themselves from just danger in general, anxiety and depression in little kids. When we go out in public, my daughter, she's one of those kids. She would literally she was like, "Mommy, can I go ask them, can they play?" And I'm like, I'm like, I don't know, because I don't want nobody to hurt your feelings or anything like that. But I'm there to pick her up if her feelings do get hurt. I can't say that a teacher would do that. I'm there to tell her that it's going to be okay. We can find another friend to play with, or mommy can play with you. I'm there to tell her that. I'm there for her. And your kids need that. And some of you, like I said, you imagine having 3 kids. You couldn't wait to have these kids. You just drop them off at daycare. I remember at one of the daycares that I used to work at, this was actually before I went to the military. One of the daycares I used to work at, these parents went through in vitro to get a child. I spoke about this in the last video about you guys begging God for children and then not wanting to care for them. They went through in vitro to get this child, and he had a lot of, disabilities. He wasn't up on speed as they thought he should be. And I'm just going to be honest and say, I don't think they wanted him because of that. I think they wanted their journey to be this perfect journey. We went through in vitro and we got this baby, and here's our beautiful baby who's walking before 1 year old and talking before. I think that's what they want, and they didn't get that. And instead, they would just drop him off at the daycare. Very sad, but it happens so much, and I don't want it to happen to you. So this week coming up, what I'm going to do is, if the Lord says the same, we're going to talk about I have a lot of videos for you like this, but obviously it's a further conversation because there's some real things that need to be in place. When I hear young girls saying things like, I don't have kids yet, or maybe I'll have kids next year, and they don't even have a man, and not just a man, a husband. They don't even have a husband. And girl, it's not just about having a husband. It's about having a husband that's capable of carrying you and these kids. Okay. It's about having stability within yourself. so that if something were to happen, you guys could switch off the baton. There's a lot of systems that need to be in place that in today's society we're forgetting they actually need to be in place. So I want to talk about those, but like I said, I just want to kind of give you this little spill. If you're on the fence between taking your kids out of daycare, taking your kids out of school, get off the fence. Like, if you have to live in a 1-bedroom apartment, if you have to downsize your life to stay with these children. It's not forever. It's not forever. And trust me, you will never regret the fact that you took the time off to spend with these children. And it's not forever. Like, you can still be doing stuff. You can still get more education while you are tending to your children. If you don't have to wake up at 6 o'clock to be at work, honey, and you can wake up at 10, you can stay up at nighttime to get some work done. You can. I'm telling you can, because I actually do it. So there are ways that you can get things done. And I want to help you out. Those of you who are actually want to change. So as always, if you have a question, ask a question, and I'll see you in the next video.